more green at games too, by the way.
Just in the overall pass rush success against Colorado, what do you think kind of went into that? Because there was some 3-4 man rushes that had some success as well.
Yeah, that was a good job of everybody on the D staff, Rob and T Knight, coming up with some things that they thought would be effective, and then to go along with the coverage in the back end, trying to mirror it up. We knew we were going to have to mix it up a lot, with what they do on offense, and that was just a good plan by the guys, and then great execution by the young men on the grass.
What's the key to doing that well, especially against an up-tempo offense?
I think the key with anything on defense is to make sure that it is in its simplest version, so the young men can absorb it and then they can execute it on the grass. That's kind of the word that's being used around here this week, is the execution part, because so many times on the film you see guys are literally 6 inches away from making game-changing plays. Well, how do you do that? You gotta focus a lot more on the execution part, and making sure that they truly understand the why. Why do I have to be tilted at this angle? Why do I have to be tighter on this tackle? What am I expecting? And so those 6 inches are the difference between a 40-yard bomb we give up or a sack, cause fumble, game-changing play. So I think everything goes down to making sure that we install things in its simplest form, so the young men can go just do it on the grass and understand the why.
What are the main challenges with Northern Illinois personnel?
Oh man, they're physical. I mean, this is a school that I got a chance to compete against a couple times at one of my old place, San Diego State, and they are always physical, no matter what. They are a physical group that plays up. They went to Boston College, and I thought they physically got after them. So they're going to come in here, and I would think they would do the same. Especially, it didn't help that they didn't have the showing they wanted last week, but that's just more fuel for them to get up and correct and come in here and play with their hair on fire. So they're going to be a physical bunch. They present a lot of different personnel groupings, a lot of different formations, so it'll be a challenge.
What have you thought through 2 weeks about your guys' physical play, ability to play physical and to tackle in space?
Yeah, I think they're just showing again. I keep saying this, but they were trained from day one when we got here to do those things. They're athletically gifted. They, through the course of the time being here with Coach Campbell and Kristen and everybody, in terms of getting themselves into shape and being able to be their strongest, most explosive version of themselves, and then coming back here and then again installing defenses where they feel like they can just go play the football game, and then going out there and doing it. So I thought that it can always get better. I mean, we're nowhere near where we need to be, but it is a good feeling when the guys do it, and then they gain validation that, hey, I can do this. I can do this routinely. So that's kind of cool.
Having been a part of implementing the scheme at a couple different schools, several different schools, where do you see, like at this point and as the first season goes on, the progress jump the most?
I mean, I would think that part of it. We came in with the, creating a defense here that, I mean, again, I say the same things, but it's really true. You got so many great minds. I mean, the stuff that they did at Carolina and Baylor was awesome. I mean, some of the best defenses in the country. Then they take it to the NFL, some of the best defenses in the NFL, mixed with the things that I got a chance to learn from Coach Long and all that and develop. And so that's why, you keep coming back to this defense here that's like a mesh of it all. I think it's something totally different, something totally new. And again, it's a good feeling that we're all able to come out with ideas that the young men can absorb and go out there and play fast, represent the black shirts the way they're supposed to be represented.
When did you first kind of take notice of Mekhi Bear? Was it in the spring? Was it fall camp? When did you kind of come on?
No, he did some really good things in the spring. You can see his versatility. You can see it early that he can play all three spots. He was just a guy who kind of did everything right. And to his credit, he just keeps getting better. He just keeps growing. And that's the the process kicking in. He is leaned up, he is stronger, he's more explosive than he's ever been. And then he comes in here, and then just like I said, slowly just making plays here and there where you're like, okay, let's see, and then the when he got the credit on the special teams, when you watched him on special teams against Minnesota, and the things he was putting on the grass, and you're like, hey, Coach was like, hey, this guy needs to play, and sure enough, throw him in there, and the guy balls out. So that's totally him. That's him believing in the process, and then putting some activity behind it. Doing the extra. He's always up here meeting extra. He meets special teams extra, and now he's playing ball and he's having a great time doing it. Being a great teammate, all that stuff. So it's really cool for him. Cool to watch.
Was there a specific light bulb moment that you saw for him, or has it genuinely been a gradual thing?
No, it's been gradual because, like I said, you can see the flashes. He was making plays in spring ball, making plays in fall camp. The play that I think really showed like, okay, this dude belongs on the grass was he ran down on the kickoff against Minnesota, and Coach showed it on the whole team, and he must have taken on 2 or 3 blocks, and I mean he destroyed the blocks and made a solo tackle in space on kickoff, and I'm like that's impressive. People don't do that. I mean, so he showed he's ready to play, and Coach was like, hey man, let's get this guy on the grass, and that's what he did. So really cool.
What are the traits of a guy who can play all 3 linebacker positions? What tips you off that this is a guy who can move around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean he's strong. He's strong enough and physical enough on the line of scrimmage, and then when we do our blitzes, he's got a good timing and a good feel to slither his way through there on all those blitzes and stuff. And then the other aspect is coverage. You got to be able to cover, whether it's man to man or whether in zone. And so like him being able to move around and stuff. Sometimes Coach Rob did a really nice job moving him around, and so that way you really get a chance to see all the different versatility he brought to the game. And so him doing that again, it's something that you wouldn't have said that when you first got here. You're looking back on tape and stuff, and you're like, there's no tape of this guy. What is he? What is he? And then, like I said, man, here we are some months later, and he's doing the things that someone who believes in the process and really, really lives the process. Now he's here making plays.
You get enough production from the jack position?
Yeah, I mean that's a group. I mean that's MJ. That's I know we haven't had a chance to see Jamari go out there, Chief, and then Makai, and then some of the game, Javen's in there at the jack as well. So when we're in all 3 linebackers in there, he's technically in there like a jack. So. Again, that goes back to the versatility of the guys, and that goes back to Rob, teaching those guys and explaining it in a way which they can all absorb, and then those guys understand concepts, and then they're out there running around. So that's cool.
Sometimes it's hard to tell. Like you explained that a guy's playing this position, and we could watch the game and watch it again. I may not know that he was playing that position.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the point? Like you want your opponents to kind of feel the same way. Like when you line up, they may not know who's at what position.
Yeah, I mean that's any advantage we can get. We want to take advantage of. I mean, it's like the D line. Again, T Knight rotates those guys consistently in there. So sometimes you got Ty as a D tackle. Sometimes he's the nose guard. Sometimes he's out there as the end. And then Nash sometimes is the 3 tech. You know what I mean? So like, it always goes back to the players. And what those guys can do and do effectively. You know what I mean? And so those guys learning all those positions in there, like that's big time ball stuff. That's a testament to them and how much they care, because that's hard to do. First year, all 3 spots in there for as many as 8, 9 different fronts we give guys and blitzes and stuff. For those guys to learn that and to learn what all 3, that goes back to T Knight and the way he's teaching those guys and the Bonias, and then those guys putting in the legwork to learn it and then do it on the grass.
Is it complex when you're playing a tempo team to be able to get those signals in to let guys know not just what the play is, but where they have to line up and how much room for have a lot of margin for error there? I mean, the guys have to line up at the right spot.
No, it goes back to just teaching. You give when you go tempo, right? You don't have all day to signal. So really, what you do is you do word association. We're doing it right now, and we're running out of words. So I got to figure some stuff out. But you have a word, and the way you install it. This word means this front, it means this movement, it means this blitz, and it means this coverage. And that's how you teach it. You teach it just step by step. So that way, when you say the word, they're like, oh, it's this front. Oh, it's this blitz. Oh, it's this coverage right away. You know what I mean? So, again, the guys being able to teach it and the guys being able to absorb it, that's all the credit goes to them.
What's the thing or things that has to happen for defense to go from getting stops to getting takeaways?
Yeah, I think the takeaways come when you're aggressive. You know, you're really aggressive. And I think that, there's a fine line between having a lot of defense and having them think on the fly. And so, going back through there and looking at some stuff, want to make sure that we do have enough defense to defend whatever we got to defend. These guys present a big problem that way because all their formations and all their personnel groupings, But also, I think you cause takeaways when guys are really physical and guys make those jumps on the ball, whether they're in zone and they understand what's coming or they're in man and their technique takes over and they're in that right spot and where their eyes can find the ball. I think those are the times where you create those takeaways. And like I said, we're 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches away. So now the gap becomes how do I make that up on defense? How do I, from the classroom to the walkthroughs to all that stuff, Coach was in there and saying, how do we make up that difference? And so we're going in there and trying to make sure that those guys are in those positions.
Tony, what about Cam Lenhart? Is he just scratching the surface of what his potential may be?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's not. You say Cam, and he comes in the room. You don't look at and see him as like a freshman. I mean, he's very mature. He's a guy who feels like he's been there and done that already. But he'll be the first one to walk into the room and say, "Hey, I got to improve. I didn't make this play. I didn't make this play. I didn't make this play." And that's the thing. That's a good player to a great player. I mean, the first thing he out of his mouth is like, "I should have made this play. I should have did this right. I should have did this right." And so it's refreshing because. I think when good guys do good things, you want to see that. You want to reward them. You want to praise them. You want, and he's a good guy. I mean, so it's cool to see him do those things so early in his career.
Hey, what kind of challenges did Rocky Lombardi provide? He's the guy that started the game in the state in 2018, seventh-year senior guy, quarterback.
Yeah, experience. I mean, you see again, like you can't. They're almost like what we do on defense. You can't do all those things and not have that dude back there under center. You know what I mean? When you're in 14 personnel, you're in 13J, you're in 12J, then you go to 11, then you go to 21. I mean, with all the shifts, trades, motion formations, you can't do that if the guy under center doesn't know what he's doing and what he's looking at. So he's a mature guy, experienced guy. He knows what he wants to do, and so it's a challenge.
We have a lot of youth on the D line. What have you seen from Van Poppel and Wallen and Princewell and Jenkins as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're trying to get them up to speed and let them play, right? I mean, that's the whole deal. Is they're not here to watch guys play. They're here to play, and so I think the biggest thing is you got to get them on the grass and let them do it, right? Practice is one thing. You gotta do it in practice so that way everybody has a trust to put you in the game. But then the game's a whole nother level, right? There's guys who are great practice players, and then you throw them in the game, and then it's like they disappear for some reason. You gotta put in under the lights, and you gotta perform. So those guys going out there and performing, it only allows the road to increase, and then we can do more things with them and all that kind of stuff. Up to a point where you're saying, hey, maybe this is too much for them and all that stuff. But again, as many guys that can play is going to play.
Y'all have been on the road for the last 2 weeks and you finally get to play at home. What does that mean to you and your guys?
That means a lot. Like Coach Rule said it this morning when he came into the staff. Like, this is going to be my first game in one of the most historic venues in college football. Like you got to slow down and think about it for a second, because we got a game. But dude, it doesn't get any cooler than that. You know what I mean? It does not get any cooler to represent the end, running out there in the tunnel. And I'm looking forward to the tunnel walk and going out there and seeing 90+ thousand out there. You know what I mean? It's going to be a surreal moment for me. And I know the guys are raring to go. So if you can't get up for this game, then you don't need to be here.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.